Hello, in record time, we must do a Super Auto Pets tier list. This is only the free-to-play units. Oh, wait, every unit in base pack and pack 1. Really? Because I don't see a bat. Am I crazy? Where's my bat? That's my indicator. It's position. Oh, there it is right there, literally at the top. So we're going to rank every unit, okay? We're going to do it S, A, B, C, D. Big ups to McD644 for making the list here. Picture of a super pet right there themselves. Would you look at that? It's in alphabetical order. Okay. Just imagine this is squeeze me. This is juice me, tease me, freeze me, reprieve me. I don't want to see you anymore. Okay, let's get started. Ant. Tier 1 unit, 2-1. Gives another unit 2-1 when it dies. I would be inclined to say, if you see an ant in your first shop, that's a juice me. You take it as a gimme. The ant will win you early rounds without a doubt. And it has a synergy late where you can pill it in order to buy me, kill me. Exactly. I see people in chat saying, buy me, kill me. Fish, if you get 1 fish and 1 ant in your first shop plus 1 roll, you win draws and you get free wins. It's a dream come true. I love it. Give me, I guess you could take ant beetle as well. That would be fine. I love it, okay? A tier. Maybe not quite S, but A tier. Hatching chick. This is a tough one, okay? Level 1 gives +5/+5 temporarily to the unit in front of it. Level 2 gives +2/+2 permanently. Level 3 gives you experience on the unit in front of it. So if you can level it up, it's great. It's also, it might even be S tier. 5/5 early is insane. Like, one of the ways that I've managed to make this work, okay, it's a tier 3 unit, okay? Let's just place it here for now. It's a tier 3 unit. So you can buy it. By the time you buy it, maybe you've got like a 7/7 fish or something like that, a 7/7 beetle, a 7/7 pig maybe. Now you've got a 12/12. If you put some garlic armor on it, you're multiple times. This basically just enables your tankiest unit to wipe the entire enemy squad by yourself. Is very useful. I would stop short of putting it in the S tier because it's weird. The +5/+5 is amazing. It's like S tier useful. The +2/+2 is only okay. I actually think it gets temporarily less useful, but it's a necessary step. But if you can get it to level 3 early, then like this could be S tier again. So I'm going to balance it out in the A tier, okay? Badger, I'm going to put him down in the C tier. I mean no disrespect. I think it starts as a 5/4. When it dies, it deals its attack damage to all remaining, to adjacent enemies. So you put this on, or adjacent animals. You put this on your back line. When it dies, it'll probably kill their unit if they still have a unit. So it draws losses. Doesn't really win you draws, but it's interesting. I think it's situational. The way that I play this sometimes is like on turn 3, you develop a unit so that you get to tier 3 units. If it's a badger, I'm like, I'll take it. 5/4 stats are pretty good early, and then I sell it from that point onwards. If it gets sniped, that's disastrous. Okay, I think this is fair. Badger with B wins you draws. Technically true, but are we evaluating it based on if you add another 3 gold onto it? Because, if we're talking about that, then there's a lot of these units that I would change my evaluation of. I also, this is not just based on what I like to run. It's also based on, what I've played against. And let me tell you, when I see a badger on the enemy team, the first thing I think to myself is, this is at worst a draw. Most of the time, it's a win. When I run into a badger, I'm not saying I've never lost. But it's not D tier, but I've definitely crushed most badger teams. Versus, if I see an early peacock or an early kangaroo on the enemy team, I'm like, okay, let's cancel Christmas. Now, bat, it's not even close. Bat is actually like in my opinion, I'm not an esports guy, but I'm going to pretend to sound like one. Bat is a meta-defining unit. It's so omnipotent. Well, omnipresent. I don't know like how the word comes out of my mouth, but weak is you will see this every second round if you play free to play. Like it almost needs its own tier. It's crazy. Weakness is not just great. Like let's go over weakness, okay? It causes every attack that hits that enemy to do 5 extra damage, which is BS. That's crazy. It also purges whatever equipment they had on them before, and equipment was like insanely important for so many different units. Sorry, it's not free to play. I meant pay to win. Sorry. It's totally oppressive. I think if you're gonna make it that, I think weak needs to be nerfed, in the sense that I think it should only block, or it should only make the first attack do extra damage. It making every attack do extra damage is insane. Maybe you nerf the bat somehow instead. Like maybe at level 1, a bat doesn't do much extra. Like it can transform or something. Like level 2, it has weakness. Level 3, it has 2 weakness, because 3 is crazy. But or maybe it pops on feint or something like that. That's interesting. But it's too good for now. I think they're always going to have it overrun equipment. But, or yeah, move it up a tier maybe or something like that, so it's much harder to get a level 3. But it's, the bat is so good. Like, it's crazy talk. The Beaver, you got to evaluate it within the context of the situation that it's in, right? This is a tier 1. I think a Beaver is like a perfect B tier 1 animal. The way that you do it, you don't really rely on it. You buy it for 1 round, and then you sell it to buff the units that are going to stick around. Like the strategy that I have, I'll try to buy either a fish or a beetle in the first couple of rounds, or literally in the first round. If I buy a beaver to augment it, that's great. Because in round 2, I sell the beaver. It buffs the fish in all likelihood, as long as you do your order right. And all of a sudden, you got like a 3/5 fish that maybe gets buffed even beyond that. I think it's pretty good. I think given that you own, the thing is you only care about it when it shows up in the first round or the second round. But I respect it in the B tier for sure. Beetle is a tough one, okay? I'm gonna put Beetle at the high B tier. Beetle is insane early, but its actual effect is garbage. It's terrible. I know you never roll food builds, NL. Like this is something you shouldn't do, but like it's the stats are awesome. The 2/3 wins you rounds early. It doesn't scale at all. So I think at B tier, knowing that you get rid of it after that is pretty good. Okay? Now we're going to start making some enemies, I think, pretty soon. The bison, I always get it confused. Maybe this is an ox. I can't remember. No, I know. It's or the buffalo. But anyway, it's really good when you get its effect to work, okay? The way that its effect works is that you need to have at least a tier 3, then it gets +2/+2 every turn. Otherwise, it's just a 6/6 that does nothing. So if you can get this early, genuinely, you could maybe have it in the SA tier. I really rarely end up taking it because by the time I get like a bison, it's very rare for me to have a tier 3 unit or even be close. Sometimes I'll have a tier 2 and be 3 away, but still. So I'd actually put it down here in the C tier, but I still put it over Badger, honestly. Now, I got to tell you, Blowfish, I used to think it was S tier. I used to think it was the strongest unit in the game. I've come down on it a little bit. I would rather have a peacock. I would rather have a kangaroo. I'd rather have a couple of things, going on here. But the Blowfish, I think, is still pretty good. You can, it at least, not everything that you buy is something that you have to level up forever. Sometimes you just buy things temporarily to help you win some rounds. So there's situations where like maybe a blowfish shows up in your shop, you buy the blowfish, you know, you get a turtle or something like that, and then all of a sudden you're like, I got a tanky unit, it's got melon armor, it gets a couple of ability procs, and then it's like good to go. But overall, this is like a maybe buy for me sometimes. Now, I know that people are going to be like, you're stacking up one tier in particular here. Bluebird is also around here in the B tier. Like, scaling is nice, don't get me wrong. I think scaling is valuable. But I would rather have like a fish or something like that early on for sure, because at 1 HP, this thing, not only does it not live, but it only trades with like half of the tier 1 animals. So I think that it could be good. And I do run it sometimes. Most of the time I find I would rather just spend 3 HP on another copy of an existing good unit that will buff it by 1/1 instead of relying on this guy, because he basically exists just to get killed. But that's okay. He's situational, but decent, okay, sometimes. What the heck does the buffalo do? Every time you buy a friend, he gets +1/+1, right? So it's like it's a strictly superior dog. Look. I'm going to put it smack dab in the middle of the B tier. I think that, again, a lot of these depend on situations, right? It can scale like crazy if it shows up early. Otherwise, like if you get it in the late game, you're like, okay, it's a 6/6 or a 7/7 or a 4/6 maybe, now that I think about it. Like, it's not great, but at the same time, you're also like, I guess if a Beetle shows up in the late game, you also don't really care, to be honest. But I find it's okay, but I would rather build around a Hippo in the same tier than build around the Buffalo. Now, Camel, I've only started doing it recently, but I actually think Camel is an A tier unit. So if you're not familiar with the Camel, I might even put it there for now. Camel, when it gets hurt, gives the unit behind it +2/+1, or +4/+2, or +6/+3, depending on its tier level. As long as you get something behind it that benefits from that, it's crazy. I mean, again, Camel's tier 3, right? You can have a Camel in front of even like your great tier 1 unit. All of a sudden, you know, there multiple. I've been taking a Camel like every time it shows up lately. You can have like a 15/15 fish once they finally punch through your Camel, and you know, then they just lose. Like nothing else can happen. It does super well with a Kangaroo. Does super well with a Peacock. Does well with the Blowfish. Anything behind it that gets a benefit when it gets hurt gets better because of the fact that, you know, gaining that extra HP is worth a lot. This is really good. Like, I love the Camel. Caterpillar, I would honestly, this might surprise you, I would actually put it in the A tier. It is hard to rank. I think people might have thought I was shooting for like a lower tier here, but if you get a Caterpillar within like the first couple of rounds that the tier 3s are available, I think you basically take it no matter what, because you just rely on getting another great unit and it copies it. You can't put equipment on it, which sucks. You kind of need like a turtle to enable it. I think it's good, man. Like, honestly, I respect it. There's one thing that sucks about it. It gets bodied hard by like leopard and dolphin, depending on where you put it. Like when you... It sucks when it transforms into like whatever it transforms into a butterfly. Its stats stay the same for a second, and then the leopard is like, here's 8 damage, and it gets sniped, and you're like, okay, rip my 50/50. It is also nice. I feel like people don't respect that it also levels up on its own, which guarantees you higher tier units when the levels pop. is pretty good. I really like it. I would put it over an ant, I guess, and for when we see, maybe more like that. Cat. I don't know what this does. Cat, when you buy shop food, all animals get +1 attack. Oh, it doubles food stats. Okay, well, I think it's bad. It's a lot of this is theory crafting. The problem is, like, you immediately start thinking in your head, you know? You're like, okay, cat, cow, now I get like 4/4 milk and stuff like that. But you need so much capacity on your board to be able to do this stuff that you're going to have to end up, if you want to do the dream strategy, you have to sell out of the things that you actually are attached to. But I don't know, it could be here as well, but let's put it here for the time being. I guess you could buy it, buy a bunch of food, sell it, buy something. Chicken, I gotta remember, chicken as well. When you buy food or a unit, it's a +1/+1 to everything in the shop now and forever, right? Oh, when you buy a tier 1 unit, buffs the shop forever. I gotta say, we gotta speed up a little bit. A lot bit. I gotta say, this is also pretty bad. All the tier 1 enablers can be okay. But I mean, this is a tier 5 unit itself, which is nasty. I would rather just have the flexibility to buy cans and then have like better animals on my squad. And I would also rather have a dragon. Like the dragon is just a better version of this, I think. Squirrel, I'm just going to be honest with you. I also kind of put it in the D tier. Most of the time that I buy squirrel, I'm pissed off because I accidentally overrun my monsters or my animals with food. Where I'm like, I didn't want 6 food. I just wanted extra food in the shop. And now I got to like either roll, in which point, why did I even do this? Like, it just has no benefit. Sorry, I got to speed up a little bit, okay? Cow, you might not love this. I think cow is high B tier. Maybe low A tier. If you have capacity, like you have some garbage unit you don't mind selling, paying 3 gold for a unit that sucks, but also allows you to divvy out +4/+4, which could maybe synergize with like some other food buffs, like a cow into a level 2 Dodo or something like that is sick. Then it's amazing. But there's a lot of times where you're like, I literally can't even like do this because everything on my board I'm attached to, like it's a 4/6 by itself that is not amazing. I guess it's 2 gold. That's a good point. You need capacity, which you don't always have late game, and it is a tier 5, but it's still okay. Yeah. Oh, I don't know why I tried to drag it to sell as if I was playing Super Auto Pets as we speak. Okay, crab. I find it much like a badger. It's kind of situational. Early on, again, if you have a super tanky unit that you've been buffing for like your first few turns, then a crab pops up. You're like, okay, instead of a 3/3, maybe I have like a 3/8 or a 3/9. That can win me some trades, but I am not excited to take it most of the time. Similarly, I gotta tell you, cricket, I don't really respect anymore. I think cricket is like, I very rarely take it, even as a tier 1 now. I think you only really roll it when you're rolling horse builds or dog builds, but I also don't, or bison builds maybe, but I don't even really roll those anymore. So it's really, it's kind of like a 3/2, but it sucks when you like roll this and you get crapped on by like a hippo or something like that, man. It's crazy. I guess it does work well in front of like an ox or something like that as well. But I would rather take like almost all tier 1 units over this. And you always have options. It wins you the early game? I don't think so, man. Honestly, I genuinely don't think so. I'm telling you, fish, man. Fish and Beetle win you the early game. Crocodile, what is he? 7/3 does 5 damage to the weakest unit. I feel like it has a great effect and bad stats, which for me, I'm just going to level with you. That's a high C tier for me. Does 7 to the back. Oh, to the last unit? I thought, oh, Dolphin does to lowest HP? It's really good when it is good. You know, different people put units on different lines. But if you hit a turkey, that's great. If you hit a tiger, it's incredible. Sometimes you can hit like a rooster, and then instead of summoning like 2 roosters or 2 chicks, it'll only summon 1. You could hit a fly. But 7/3, the stats are just like not that impressive, honestly. Now, deer is kind of interesting. It's one of my favored tier 4 units to take, even if you're only running it temporarily. I think you can place it in the mid-A tier. The caveat, and it's actually kind of nice. The deer is like, I'll level it up to level 2, which is fine. But then you have a decent unit out there that does really well at level 1. And then you have the capacity, knowing that it sucks late game, to just sell it and then start putting something good in that place instead. So I think this is like a nice stopgap holder. Does really well purging like melon armor off units at the back. Does really well triggering anything that is like enemy in front of you attacks, or animal in front of you attacks, animal in front of you faints, etc., etc. It's got some good stuff going on, okay? Dodo, I'm going faster, okay? Dodo, high A tier. It's up here. The only problem that I have with the Dodo, it might even be close to the S tier. You know what? I'm willing to put it there. The reason, the only thing that sucks about it is that so often I end up with like 50 attack units, and then they have like 9 HP, but that's not the Dodo's fault. I also feel like its level 2 effect is incredible. Its level 3 effect is maybe like the best level 3 effect in the game. Yeah, it's really good. Plus, it sucks up all the buffs and redistributes them, which is nice. Dog, put that in like B tier. If you build around it early and you really, we've had 10 win runs with dogs. They don't always pop. Oftentimes you're going to want to sell, but you can scale it. You can get it there. Dolphin is very similar to Crocodile for me. If I have 3 gold and I need to buy an animal, this is going to be like one of the animals I'm most likely to buy and then sell it in the next round. You're basically buying like an anti-cupcake. And also level 2, when it hits 2 units, is pretty nasty. It can be very annoying, and it ruins some builds. Like the Dolphin runs might not get to 10 wins, but they're also going to stop a lot of fly builds from getting there. It doesn't hit 10 units. I'm thinking about leopard then. My mistake. Dragon, I have to say, this is and maybe controversial because it's a popular animal for a number of reasons. I think it's okay. Its stats are okay. The problem with it is that in order for a dragon to work, you need the space on your board to be able to sell and buy tier 1 units to get the buffs. AoE scaling is insane, but it's the only way that you can actually do this is to have it contingent on having 2 spaces that you can make it work on, which doesn't happen that often. You have to have a very like specific run for this to fit into your build, okay? IMO, at least. Dromedary, I think it's okay. I've come down on it a little bit. I would say like maybe we're looking at a C tier for a dromedary, but it's okay. I would put it closer to like right on the Beaver borderline here. Maybe we'll throw that in the end of B for now. Duck is tight, okay? I'm gonna throw you something controversial. I think duck is an A tier, tier 1. There is a poison pill to swallow. It's a 1/2, so it sucks. But you play for a draw, hopefully in round 1 or round 2. Then you sell all your ducks when you get that first tier 3 promotion, and all of a sudden you can have like a 5/8 blowfish on round 3, and you will win enough games to compensate for the one that it might have lost you. And it might not lose you. You might still draw with it. I'm telling you, it's the way to go. It's good. It's good. Eagle, overrated, but still decent. I'm going to put this in the B tier. Not bad. Maybe I understated a little bit. But I think it's merely mid. Elephant is like high C, okay? It's a trap. In order, like, this is like an anti-scaling unit. The more it levels up, the worse it gets. Unless you build your entire team around hurt triggers, which really wedges you into a specific situation that you cannot escape from. Fish, I mean, I gotta tell you, I think it's like a better Beetle. This is the unit I look for, round 1, round 2. It's almost impossible to lose one of your first 2 rounds with a couple fish. You will either win or come out even. Flamingo, I know you can pill it, okay? So you kind of buy it as a 3/1, use it for 1 round, pill it, and give 1/1. I would be inclined to say that this is somewhere in the B tier. Does okay with a whale, maybe. But I'm not... I would maybe say, you know, B or C. It's a better ant. It's a better duck. Yeah, but it's also a tier 3. So it's not really like a better ant. Because if I can't get it out there until the enemies are already so much stronger that the +1/+1 is not as valuable as the +2/+1 was earlier on, you know? Like, what's more valuable, like a cookie when you're dying of hunger in the desert, or like a feast when you're already full? Anyway, sorry. Fly is A tier. I would say not S. The only reason it's not S, I feel like you can put a bat into almost anything. You can put a dodo into almost anything. The fly sometimes forces you to make some tough choices because it itself sucks. Its effect is incredible. These are universally applicable. Giraffe. Call me crazy. Scaling. Oh my God, I gotta go so much faster. Scaling is very valuable, okay? But +1/+1 is too slow. If you level it up more, then it gets good. But for now, not so much. Similarly, goats. Well, I wouldn't put it at the very bottom. When you buy a friend, you get 1 gold. I'm just telling you, buy-sell meta is like one of the most fun builds to play, with the shrimps and the goats and the so-ons, but I've never had a great run with it. So I think it belongs down here. Gorilla, I never do well with, because I always end up in a situation where it dies in 1 hit. But if it lives through 1 hit, it usually gets 2 kills, which is kind of amazing. So I would say Gorilla can be in the A tier. Hedgehog is very similar to Badger, but I would say a little bit worse. Put him back here. A hedgehog at the back can do some good stuff for you. You know, it's the same thing. It turns losses into draws. Sometimes you get draws into wins. Hippo. Now, Hippo, I'm merely going to place it in the A tier, but it can definitely be in the S tier. It depends how early you can get it. It depends how quickly you can scale. Sometimes it dies in 1 hit, and you're like, this thing's a piece of crap. Sometimes you go up against a white weenie build, and you don't even have to use animals 2 through 5. So I genuinely love a hippo, but I feel like it's not quite S. Horse is fine, but it's kind of a beginner trap. Kangaroo, though, that's an A tier animal. I don't know exactly where I'm going to put it, but Kangaroo is insanely good if you can get either a unit in front of it that dies and then spawns a unit and then dies, or a unit in front of it that's tanky and it scales like insanely. I might, you know what? It fits a lot of builds. I might even put it there. Ladybug, actually, like, I'm sure I'm probably using it wrong, but just a much worse beetle, in my opinion. Leopard, highly, highly overrated. Everybody wants me to buy this every time it shows up. It's not good. I'm telling you, in my opinion, it's not good. I don't know if I have ever lost to a leopard, like for my 10 wins. I lose to kangaroos all the time. I lose to flies. I lose to turkeys. I lose to dogs. I lose to butterflies, okay? I'm on my way, Apollo. We got 5 minutes, okay? I've only got to rate 30 animals in that time. I don't think I've ever lost to a leopard. Okay, like, here we go. Llama, too much of a workaround. Lobster, nobody knows what you do. We're going faster, all right? You ready? Mammoth, useful, but overrated. Microbe, low B tier, but when you build around it, it blows them out. It blows them out. Monkey, everybody says the monkey's S tier. You're crazy. I think it's like a high B. High A? Look, I'm ranking it according to my preferences, but knowing that I'm off based on what the populace says, I will do more labbing in the lavatory with the monkey, okay? Mosquito, high C tier. Octopus, go ahead, be mad. We had the dream octopus build the first time we ever had it. That anchored in our brain as the octopus being a top tier unit. It's never happened again. It will never happen again. I've never seen it happen against me. Anytime I see an octopus, I'm like, good, we're going to smack it to death. We got the most incredible octopus run of all time. It's time to let it live in the past, okay? Otter, that's a mid-B tier 1 unit. It's a nice, it comes with like an apple. It's a nice buy, and you don't feel bad about selling it later. Owl, again, situational. 5-3 is good stats for a tier 3. When you sell it, you get a nice statistical benefit out of it, but you're never going to be like, oh no, an owl. Ox, most underrated unit in the game. Parrot, here's the thing, right? Parrot a turkey. What if you just parrot a turkey? Hey, what if you just parrot a dog or something like that? Okay, what if you just had a second dog? What if you just had a second turkey, right? Like, you don't need both of this. A tiger is incredible. A parrot is a trap. And the fact that it imprints whatever it gets, I don't respect it. C tier. Peacock, you already know. We're up here in the A tier. Penguin, highly overrated. Highly overrated. I'm going to put that in the C tier as well. The fact that you need tier 2s to make it work is where it becomes dangerous, okay? Pig, I'm not going to giga brain you and put this in the A tier, but I do think it's high B. It basically costs you 1 gold to get a 2/2 temporarily early, which is great. Peacock, Poodle. Poodle is a better penguin. A better penguin. There's no doubt about it. The poodle will scale your whole team if you build it properly. Puppy can win you the game by itself. Rabbit, anything with food is not respectable. Dirty rat, worst unit in the game. Rhino, absolutely bodies white weenie builds, loses to everything else, but is fine. Rooster, it's the slap of the city. It's the talk of the town. Rooster is insanely good. I wouldn't say best unit in the game while bats exist, but it's insanely good. Dies to buses. Okay, your bus is never going to get to my rooster because it's going to get shit on by whatever my frontline unit is, and then you're going to kill my rooster and be like, I won. Then Tiger Rooster, all of a sudden you got 4 51 chicks out there going bam, 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 bam. Okay, we'll go faster, faster. We got 1 minute. Okay, faster. Sauropod, I don't respect the gold builds late. Scorpion, situationally useful temporarily. Seal, fucking pisses me off. Because it's always like, hey, if I eat something, I'll buff somebody else. Then I buy like sushi and it hits every unit except the seal. And I'm like, okay, how about you don't let the door hit you on the way out, dumbass. Shark, A tier. A functional must-have unit. Sheep. Does well, sometimes. Shrimp, I'm just going to be honest with you. It's probably like the most fun unit in the game that sucks. I buy it almost every time, but it's not good. And then sometimes I've run 2 of them, and it's insane. But it's hilarious. Him, me. Skunk, temporarily useful at best. Snail, A tier. +2/+2 on everything is insane. Snake, wins games. Spiders, keeps you in games. Swans, I overrated them for a while. I would say this is a B tier unit. T-Rex, everybody loves scaling. I would say this could fit in your A tier. Tabby Cat, +1 attacks temporarily. Tell me you never get bought without telling me you never get bought. Tiger is S. You just put it behind the S tier unit, and then it's automatically S by definition. Tropical Fish, I overrated it for a long time. Turkey, wins you the game by itself. Turtle, easy melon armor early in the game. Whale, double feint triggers is disgusting. Worm, tell me you're about to lose the game without telling me you're about to lose the game. This is it. Print screen, the definitive tier list of super auto pets, and we were only 1 minute late. I stand by all of my rankings until I play more of this. 1 week from now, we'll do a reevaluate and then see how they compare. That's not a promise, by the way.